We got big-time problems with that motor, buddy. Hey, just between you and me, the idea is to avoid the other cars. Congratulations! You just set the sport back 30 years with that move. That move will put you in the Hall of Shame. You keep doing stuff like that and we're going to lose our sponsor. Looks like that's it for us today. Now I know why you got canned by your old team. It's over. We can't fix that damage. Looks like your car is toast. You'll need a tow back to pit lane, press and hold your reset button, and we'll come and get you.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
After a week away, the NASCAR iRacing Series returns as we make the trek to Virginia, ready for 200 laps around the three-quarter mile of Richmond Raceway. This is a fantastic track, shaped like a traditional oval layout that we are accustomed to, but compressed into what is a very short lap time. And expect those short track tempers to come out once more, because this place certainly has a history for it. Can we make it 9 different winners in the first 9 races of the season? Let's find out as we go live on the iRacing Esports Network and presented by SimSpeed TV. My name is Ryan Jones. I'm joined for now by Jay Kennedy. We'll have Justin Prince alongside in a few minutes' time later on in the broadcast. And Jay's also behind the scenes for this one on the cameras. And Jay, this track is a lot of fun. It's one of my favorites, funnily enough. But it's also a very tricky track to get right. Thanks for telling us.
There we go.
There you go, Jay. There you go.
Yeah, one of my favourites as well. I always love racing at Richmond. Always good fun. Very, very tough track to race. Very, very tough to pass. We saw in the Coke Series this week as well that the drivers' tempers definitely do flare, as you said. There's a few drivers that have come back for a bit of redemption as well, which we weren't sure whether we were going to see a lot of the Coke drivers this week, but it looks like there's a few drivers that have gone, I'm not happy with my result from the race in the Coke Series. I'm going to come back and try and win it. or get a much better result. So we'll see how we go.
Yeah, 100%. Who we got? We got Casey Kerwin, Graham Boland, Michael
Guest,
Guest, Jimmy Mullis, Malik Ray.
Jeremy Allen as well.
Yep. Also, a lot of very good drivers who we've seen all season long. Garrett Maines, one of them. Brody Kostecki, interesting one. Someone with a lot of experience in... What did he make it to? I believe it was the Willen Series, potentially. He definitely... Kostecki went over to America, did a lot of short track racing over in the USA. But now, he is part of the Supercars series. He competes in the Super 2 category. And I believe he's scheduled to be in the co-driver's team for the Enduros later this season. So watch out for him out there as well as Austin Yarborough, who runs around in real life too. So a very good field, as we always get. This is top split, don't forget. There's, I think, 5 splits today, maybe 4. So expect the quality of racing to be very, very good out there. Qualifying is drawing to its conclusion. Currently fastest is Vicente Salas, right ahead of Jeremy Allen and Garrett Maines behind. We're watching Tanner Love at the moment, currently back in 21st place. Now, Tanner was in contention for a race win a couple of weeks ago, was taken out from the lead, and is looking to try and better run of it today, but that is not the right way to finish your lap. He will have to start no higher than 21st. 20 seconds left on the clock. Brendan Coppinger will be hoping to just squeak across that line before it ticks over. So he comes out of turn number 4. In fact, he's on his 3rd lap, so he's not managed to register a validated lap time. So that is your field set for the start for this one. Graham Boland right at the final second. Goes fastest by 1/10 of a second. That's your field set. And this is how they line up. So there's Boland with that fantastic final second effort. And then Garrett Maines, a regular for the series there from 4th as well. Austin Yarborough from 8th. Brody Kostecki props up in 9th. First time we've seen him on a Friday night in this series. So that's your top 10. And the rest of the top 20, Jay.
Yeah, so a few names in amongst here that we probably would expect to be a little bit higher as well. Patrick Moose. Higher has been pushing for top 10s throughout this season. Michael Jeans as well. Expect to see a little bit higher. So a few drivers that we will see work their way through the field. Quite a few drivers that didn't even put in lap times, which I'm surprised about being such a short track. So we'll see how it plays out. Going to be a really interesting race. I love this track. It always provides really close, exciting racing.
Certainly is, and Malik Ray back there from 27th. He's going to have his work cut out for him. You know how fast he is. Well, it'll be fun to see him come through the field. And then your last 5 drivers into this one, CJ Levert running out everyone in this event as they grid up down on pit straight. And yeah, I'm really excited to see all these Coke drivers. We've had a few fantastic events with plenty of Coke drivers joining us across the season. Many have said they're racing because of the broadcast, giving some more time to their sponsors, which we're happy to do. And if you do want to get your sponsors out here on this broadcast, make sure you upload your livery to the SimSpeed website. Just create an account and then go to the paint booth, upload your paint to the NASCAR iRacing Series section, and we'll have it up on screen for you. As you can see there, they are gridding up. That is some B-roll footage while Jay adjusts some technical, visually fancy stuff in the background.
So I don't want to deafen everyone with the onboard mic, so we're just going to tweak them a little bit.
Yeah, you're not missing anything. Don't worry. They're not actually driving around the track right now. But looking forward to this one, Jay.
Definitely, it's always an awesome race. Like, this track just provides some amazing battles. It always does some amazing things. You never know what to expect around this circuit. It's such a bizarre track that provides tight, close racing just in the nature of how the shape of it and where you can drive and how late the high line will come in, if it comes in at all. We did see that the high line really did struggle to come in, so we'll see if there is any high line coming in.
We will, and despite being a short track, lights are out of the pace car, so we should probably go back to the live pictures here. Because the pace car is going to duck down
No, it's not. It's caught you off guard.
next time by. So the lights are out on the pace car, but because it's the formation lap, they go out straight away, which I think is a bit counterintuitive for us poor folks up at the commentary booth. But nonetheless, we'll have one more lap. Weather conditions for these drivers, it's 41 degrees track temp, so it's breezily hot. In Fahrenheit, it's 106. A lot of our viewers and all of our competitors are from the
All bar one.
region, all bar one. Kostecki, interestingly, his club is listed as Carolina, but he is racing from Australia. So Fahrenheit 106, as you can see. 200 laps ahead of us then. A week away, it seemed like an eternity, but now we get to go racing once more. Round 9 of the NASCAR iRacing Series from Richmond Raceway. Green flag in the air, let's go racing.
Jump at the front from Boland.
Very good jump from Boland. He'll jump out to a great lead, and unfortunately, the caution flag flies almost as soon as it was put away. An incident further back into the field. Looks like it might have been Will Loro. We'll take a look at a replay in a moment's time once we sort out who was the perpetrator in that. But short tracks, you've got to expect cautions. Maybe not on the first corner, but get rid of those first lap nerves. You can see there on the outside of 3. Maybe just slightly misjudged it, came down the track. Great job from everyone else to avoid that car, though.
Player who is a little bit lucky is Casey Kerwin. Got a little bit of damage from that. Could have been a lot worse for Kerwin, but the right-hand side of that car is a little bit torn up. Probably the only positive to come from that is that we are at Richmond, which damage means not anywhere near as much as it would have a normal run.
Yeah, speeds aren't that high. Well, relatively speaking, they're still doing, what, 200 kilometers an hour? But he should be pretty fine with that. He'll be able to get it repaired down on pit road too. That's the dangers of not qualifying on a short track. Casey did not put a lap time in practice or qualifying, had to start from the back, and unfortunately, that's what happens when you do just that. So he's actually going to stay out on the racetrack and will not join the drivers that pitted. So he'll move himself up into around 24th place. No reason for anyone up front to pit, because half a lap is not much at all on those tyres. Not even up to temperature yet.
Drivers that did take that opportunity to come down into pit lane, but most of those were either right at the back of the field or were involved in that first lap incident. So some way or another, that is. So if any of those guys that were involved can work their way back through, Malik Ray's come in as well. So on the second lap around, so I think he was undecided on whether he'd come in or not, but might get the lights out. And interesting, Jeremy Allen actually got ahead. Sorry, no, he hasn't. Salas is there. Sorry, I got a little bit thrown off there for a second. Timing screen went a bit haywire. But yeah.
So Allen is ahead of Salas on track. But Jimmy Mullis at the front in that Coke Energy car is going to get a lap back here. Not lights out this time by. He, I believe, started from pit lane, so he found himself under a lot of pressure for going a lap down, was probably saved his graces by the early caution. So he'll be able to cycle back to the back end of the lead lap. Interesting how many cars are a lap down already. That does surprise me, because there wasn't that many cars involved in that crash, not from what we saw, but looks like there might have been a fair bit of contact further back, and 30th on back are all a lap down now and having to cycle to the rear of the field. Of course, if you're ahead of the leader, you get your lap back. If you're behind the leader, you have to go to the rear of the queue. Unless you're the lucky dog, that's how it works in NASCAR. And another point to mention with these short tracks, lapped cars, when we get the long green flag runs, we can expect probably to get one at some point today, is lapped cars. Yeah, lapped cars, confidence, Jay, it's all about confidence. Lapped cars are a big talking point, because especially if it does become a one-line racetrack, if they're battling for their own positions, they're not going to necessarily roll over and let you go that easily if you're the lead car. and there are no blue flags in NASCAR, so they often are some of the biggest talking points of these races. They can really change the battle for the lead.
Exactly right, and that too is get ready to go green right now. So hard to pass too, so if you come up as a lead car and you've got guys battling that are lap down, it's going to be really, really tough. Another great jump from Boland though.
It is very tight behind as Allen jucks down to the bottom line ahead of Salas. And Garrett Maines up there on the top of the racetrack, trying to find a way back into the preferred groove. Austin Yarborough and Brad Wright side by side behind him as well. Wright will find his way down to the inside, and Maines finds the hole he was looking for. Might actually get to the inside of Max Cooks, and he will. That works very nicely for him. And they almost ran into each other down that main straight there.
Very, very tight. One thing that's amazing about this circuit, you don't realise it till you drive it. Got another caution back in the field. Robert Miller's around. It's how that wall at the exit of turn 2 just magically closes up on you like nothing. It's such a strange exit out of turn 2. You expect the corner to be a lot more open, and all of a sudden the wall's there. So you've got to be really, really careful there, especially when you're in a battle. You see on the outside here the number 15 car on screen. A little bit of side-by-side contact. Oh, I thought he'd saved it for a second. Unlucky.
So close, so close. I was going to say, how did that bring out the caution? But yeah, that slight overcorrection into the fence. Number 15 is...
Number 17 in sim. Number 15 on his car. We are allowing drivers to use their custom numbers that they would normally use in this series. So
yeah.
You may see that we've got a couple of numbers that don't quite match up onto the side, but that's mainly due to letting the Coke Series drivers use their more recognised numbers, like Casey Kerwin running the 23 and Graham Boling using the 18. Well, as Jimmy Mullis using the 46 car, I should say, rather than his in-sim car at number 7. So that's why we've got a few numbers that are a little bit different.
As a spectator, it's fantastic to see the custom numbers on the car because you can really make some fancy stuff with them. But as a commentator, from the bottom of my heart, I hate you. Because it's really hard to figure out who's who, because you see, oh, the 15 spun, you got to look at the 15 on the timing screens, and it ain't him. And you got no clue who it is. So it does make it slightly difficult, but it is good to see. And obviously the series, like the Coke Series, that they all run custom numbers. They've got a spotters pack, and they all know who's who. But this is NASCAR iRacing Series. This is open to everyone with a Class C license. It's one of, if not the most popular series in iRacing, with limited time slots each week. Only, I think, 5 or 6 fixed setup slots and 5 open setup time slots each week. This is the open setup. And the divisions are set by their iRating. So, of course, this is top split. Average, the strength of field for this split is... What is it, Jay? You've got the timing screen there.
Today it is 5,500 Zachary.
So they're pretty decent drivers out there. And, of course, you've got all the way down to bottom split as well, where you have a lot of talented drivers, but, you know, not everyone has time to dedicate. Yeah, and not everyone has time to dedicate to every day to build it up.
Good too, different time zones as well, so more European-based time slots. There's time slot which is perfect for Australia, New Zealand, Asia, and also the Americas, so you see a lot both, and there's also a more dedicated Australasian and European time slot, which is in about 8 hours from now. So yeah, it's all different time slots. It's a great series for everyone. You and I both would race this a lot more if we had time to do it, but have you ever won an NIS race before? Sure you have. That's a no.
I don't think I have. I haven't run NIS that often myself. I tend to do more of the shorter races. I don't have the attention span to
very good point.
keep it up. And hey, I might win some more soon because I've managed to lose nearly 1,000 I rating in the last couple months. So I might end up winning some lower split races, which is good and bad, I guess. In that's what commentating does. I've lost a lot of the time I used to be able to dedicate to racing, and now I'm commentating nearly every day. And Jay, I believe you've got like something ridiculous, like 3 or 4 months straight every day of working on either sim speed broadcasts Global Sim Racing Channel broadcasts, and even iRacing broadcasts. You work on the stuff for Fox Sports, NBC, IMSA, all the fancy stuff. So despite being like a headless chicken, you do get plenty of work done.
What is sleep? What is sleep?
Green flag back out for the third time today. We go back racing. Status quo out front. Boland from Allen as Cookson trying to sweep around the outside of Vicente Salas, and that's not going to happen. Maines this time finds himself on the inside of the racetrack for the restart, which is where you want to be. And Austin Yarborough squeezing him and Brad Wright down, trying to make it work. If you pinch the car on the inside down far enough, sometimes you can complete the move up top because they can't get on the throttle as early as they'd like. But it's so powerful at Richmond, that inside line, that there's really nothing he can do.
Brody Kostecki trying to make some moves. Garrett Maines is the one that's trying to make the most moves at the moment. Lost a couple of spots from the original start of the race. Malik Ray is the biggest mover at the moment. He's already up 10 spots and has made a pit stop. So making some moves back in the field in that number 51 Rowdy Energy car. Number 16 if you're looking on your timing sheet there, Ryan. But there's some moves being made all the way through the field. And as you said, the inside line is so key here because it is very, very tough to get a run on the outside in the day conditions. We've already got cars going laps down. But this little battle here between Shiver and Jeans is going to get a little bit spicy, I think.
I think you just saw on the background of your shot there, Wesley Pistol take a hard left through the tri-oval. He kept it off the grass and kept it straight, lost a bunch of spots though. That's Tanner Love down on the inside of the track. Driver with a lot of pace. That Justin Prince has a lot of
one of the fan
positive
favourites,
things to say about. Yeah, had a lot of positive things to say about him when he jumped in for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and he'll be back here shortly once he finishes off his other broadcast, because he is an even busier man than the two of us put together, it seems, Jay. And Tanner Love going to finally pick up that spot as Michael Jeans going to have Michael Watkins go by him now as well.
So Watkins getting a move done, and Jimmy Mullis also starting to make some moves too. He's got Patrick Moose on the outside. He's trying to work his way forward. I must say Max Cookson at the moment is putting a lot of pressure. I could actually use my English on Salas at the moment. So battle for second is getting quite heated at the moment because Cookson wants to get through. He's got more pace. Very, very tough to pass here though.
Yeah, Cookson's a very fast driver, and we've seen him quite often this series, and NIS often running towards the front in these strength of field races. And you've got to be careful. It is a short track. Tyre wear isn't quite as forthcoming as it is on the 1.5 miles and the longer tracks, but it is still very important. The longer you get into your run, the more it's going to play a part. The drivers that start to look after their tyres now are the ones that are going to benefit if we do get a long green flag run here. And drivers do look like they've settled into a rhythm now, and we might be set for it. But I'm going to touch wood and keep my fingers crossed.
One thing that we did see in the Coke Series race was lots of cautions. Actually, it was one of the longest ever broadcasts in the Coke Series that we saw.
Yes.
Through goes Yarborough on Brad Wright. So nice move there from Yarborough. If this does get some long green flag runs, it'll be interesting to see what some of those guys that did run in the Coke Series, as we said before, we've got a few drivers here, see how they handle strategy, because they would have done a lot of testing for long green flag runs. To not get them in the race, the mindset would have changed a little bit. Now they'll be a lot more prepared for these shorter runs. Have they tweaked the car setup from how they had it prepared originally to now not have long green flag runs? Will the cars drop off dramatically for those guys? And the guys that are running just this series as their premier series, will they then be the ones that put pressure on those Coke guys? That'll be interesting to see later on.
Well, Mullis and Ray are coming through the pack in tandem here. Just further back behind what we're seeing on screen, as Mullis now makes a move to the inside of Ray. Mullis started 23rd, Ray started 25th. They're now 12th and 13th respectively. Short run pace looks very good for them. How's it turn out as the run goes on? The track evolves, the car changes. How's it handle the low tyre wear and grip? Or the low tyre grip, I should say, and high tyre wear. We'll see. At the moment, good progress for them, and we do often see the Coke drivers charge their way through the field in these NAS races. It's it's a lot of fun for the Coke drivers. Obviously, they've got all the pressure they have in those big races, broadcast to thousands upon thousands of people, and they come in NOS, so you've still picking up a few thousand views each broadcast, which is nice, but not quite the same level of exposure, and not 100,000, more than that even, on the line, not $250,000 on the line. So a lot of a more fun environment for these drivers, I'm sure.
Stress levels would definitely be a lot less, and they would be enjoying themselves a lot more. So, not to say that they wouldn't enjoy themselves in those high-pressure races, especially if they get a great result. But
Yeah.
the stress levels would definitely be a lot less. I must say, Cookson still struggling to get this done on Salas, and now Jeremy Allen's starting to close back in again. So this is going to be an interesting four-car fight, and Boland has not pulled away as I was expecting him to as well. So maybe that car pace that we were just talking about there, where the Coke guys are trying to get their pace over a shorter run, may start to come into effect now. It's been green for about 15 laps. As through goes Josh Berry on Brad Wright. So Brad Wright just lost 2 spots in one corner.
It's a shame for him. He'll go back. A few more drivers making their way up through the field are Michael Guest and Casey Kerwin. Guest just got by Kerwin a couple laps ago, and they're running around in 17th and 18th place now after starting from 35th and 34th, and they're just a couple spots behind Mullis and Ray. JD Willis is a couple spots in front of him. JD Willis and Tanner Love are the 2 guys that I'm keeping a close eye on today. Same as last week. They're the 2 that came together a couple of weeks ago. Much controversy around that. Still talked about. Do wonder whether Willis did have that conversation. Here we go. Sensei, Salas and Cookson. Bumpers being used here on the short track to take the line away. They almost come together on entry into the corner there. Very close, and going to capitalise on this is the 47 as well, coming through on the inside. That's Vicente Salas.
Salas now back to 4th position. Jeremy Allen now up, and also you can see Garrett Maines also coming up to. My English is really not going well today. I've been up too early. I got up to the Subaru IRX challenge on iRacing Esports Network this morning as well. So a big morning already. Big weekend for us at SimSpeed, all of us involved. Of course, going over to GSRC, helping out as well. Believe we've already been live once there. And as we said too, we got Dustin Prince coming in, who's on another broadcast on another channel right now as well. So everyone seems to think we've all got rivalries. As Kostecki gets passed now by Mullis and Ray, he'll probably just tuck in behind these guys and just watch what they're doing. But everyone seems to think that all the broadcasters don't get along. All of us work for the same people. We all just work together, don't we?
Yeah, I don't know about GSRC and Sims. No, I'm kidding. There's a very close relationship between GSRC and SimSpeed especially, and we all share our resources quite closely. In fact, we've had Sean Ambrose doing the first couple of races of the season, didn't we? Up here in the booth alongside me. And despite being 2 Australians, as you've sure you've probably sussed out by now from our voices, we are, I would say, probably the 2 most passionate NASCAR fans amongst SimSpeed. So that was a very quick discussion at the start of the season. I said, "Can we do NIS?" And Jay went, "I don't know." Asked him again the next day, and he went, "Okay."
Yeah, we are very, very keen to have this series. Great series, and already we still go back to that race at Auto Club. That is still one of the best races we've ever seen. 4 wide for nearly the entire race. Incredible. I just noticed too that Boland's already broken out now. So while that pass was going on, Salas was getting past with that bump from Cookson. Jeremy Allen and Cookson through. They're now 1.5 seconds back. So this now breaking out to a bit bigger of a gap. And Austin Yarborough, driver that might be struggling as well for that longer pace. That was nilly. Just held on.
He got very fortunate there. That was very close. And he's got Jimmy Mullis to his outside now. Doing the tri-oval, got to that right quarter panel. you might clear him on the outside. A lot of pace for Mullis. Malik Ray watching on behind as well. Where's he opt to go? As Mullis completes it on the outside, and now Ray will dive to the bottom side of Yarborough into 3 and 4. Yarborough going backwards here. He started this race in 8th. He got himself up inside the top 5 at one point, but now finds himself running around in 10th place. And to make that 11th, as Brody Kostecki goes on by as well. And up front now. Yeah, Jeremy Allen goes on by Max Cookson. 1.8 seconds behind the Joe Gibbs Racing driver of Graham Boland. Watch out for Vicente Salas as well.
You know, and Salas will want to get back through. He probably want a little bit of redemption too, because that bump and run from Cookson was what got him through. So Salas probably still a little bit upset about that. So that'll be interesting to see this little dynamic here in this battle. You can already see that Salas is almost lining up a little bump himself. He's trying to work out where he can bump to unsettle the car, but not cause a spin and cause a wreck. It's what we often see in these races, isn't it?
Yeah, temper's starting to flare, and as we get closer to the end, drivers will want to get by quicker and quicker as Jimmy Mullis goes by Brad Wright, and the charge continues for these two drivers as Ray will look to capitalise. Won't quite get it through 1 and 2. We'll just have to bide his time and showing great experience, not lunging that car to the inside of that bright number 11 yellow machine. And he's going to have to try and generate a run here. Went in very deep to the corner, tried to angle himself for a good exit, but didn't quite get it right. And watch it through 1 and 2. He'll set himself up slightly higher for the entry. He'll turn down, get on the power nice and early, and try to get the drive out, but just struggling to execute it at the moment. He's going to try it again through 3 and 4 here. You can definitely see he's trying it, but it's very hard to execute.
This has been the longest green flag run these guys
don't say that.
Series would have had all week, because what was there, 14 cautions in the race. The Coke Series, we've had 2 so far. We are almost 1/4 race distance, but Malik Ray's looking very, very strong. But Graham Boland has now got that lead out to over 2 seconds, so he's starting to really check out. Here we go, Malik Ray through.
And clears him off the exit of 2. And Kostecki will watch that and learn a bit as to maybe how he can complete that manoeuvre as well. While they're doing that, Mullis is ranged up onto the back of Josh Berry, just in front of these guys. Up front, Graham Boland, cautions out. Jay, this is why I hate you, man.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Jay Kickson looks like he has gone around, and he might go around again too. Got to be careful on that seam between the banking and the apron. He almost lost it by
and
himself.
he would have lost a lap too if he had have spun there.
Yeah. So this is the Motum simulation replay.
Ooh,
down to the back straight away. That's 10 of Love in front of him. And Hickson, so unlucky. Love clipped the fence and bounced off it a couple times. And if you get an onboard with Hickson here, you'll see right there, sideways in the fence, and then just bounced out to the left as Hickson tried to drive around him, and quite literally nothing he could do there. Everyone will dive down into pit lane now, get some fresh rubber, some more fuel. On lap number 50 of this event, we'll tick over as they cross the line down in the pits here. We'll see whether the order changes. They are nose to tail in pit road at the moment. Those top 3 drivers, they are literally pushing each other down the lane on that speed limiter as they dive it down to their box. Some drivers are going to benefit here because their pit box is in a curve, which is a bit of a shorter route around the track. Those first 4 cars, as you can see there, all around the bend as we watch pit exit for the race off pit
Everyone
road.
wanted cone cam back. They missed cone cam. Oh, that was close there between.
He drop punts the cone.
Yep.
Cooks it, drop punts the cone, and completes it on Jeremy Allen. Gets by him.
Yep. Now, interesting, Jake Hickson did not pit then. So he's come around and now will come in at the end of the portion. So he just wanted to make sure he didn't go a lap down by being at the back of the field. Hadn't caught up to the back of the field. Smart driving there from Hickson. Good awareness. But every single car in the field has now come in, with the guys that were a lap down also coming in. Tanner Love just makes it out, staying on the lead lap.
Yeah, so under pit stops in NASCAR, a few different rules to abide by, one being the lucky dog for the first car lap down, so long as they weren't involved in the caution bringing incident, or in fact an incident at the time of the caution. And also, when the pit lane opens for the lead lap cars, it's as soon as they've all caught the back of the pace car. For the cars 1 or more laps down, they have to wait an extra lap. And Dustin Johnson was the lucky dog. He gets waved around the pace car, gets to come down pit road, and we'll complete it all as... Who's that in front of Boland? That's the 21 car of Zach Hudson. He'll stay out to ensure a wave around to get back on the lead lap, and he'll be someone hoping for a quick caution after this. Because if there isn't, he's going to be very, very slow on those older tyres.
Trying to push the pace car along to speed it up so that he can get back around to the back of the field. But Cookson ahead of Allen. That was a close run off pit exit. I think some of the moves that have been done in this field so far. Michael Guest up 23 spots. Casey Kerwin, who was in the wall lap 1, avoiding the wreck or the spin, is up 21 spots. Jimmy Mullis and Malik Ray both up 18 spots, so some big moves already. Jimmy Mullis now on fresh tyres, up towards the front of the field. This is going to be interesting to see what he can do.
This is, of course, the 9th round of the season, broadcasting the Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time slot. We've had 8 different winners from the 8 rounds so far. Jarrett Liebert, Zach Novak, Jeremy Allen, Max Cookson, Chris Shearburn. That was a thrilling, fuel-saving finish. 2 wildly different strategies converging. 2 laps to go there. Brad Wright, J.D. Willis at Texas. That's where the controversy was. And Harrison Lyon got it done last week at Bristol. So, of the top 4, 2 of them have won so far this season. Two of them are Cup Series drivers as well. So, let's see who gets it done. Still 150 laps to go, though, as we go back green. Another great start for Graham Boland, and Cookson throws it to the inside of the track to make sure he covers off Jeremy Allen down into turn number 1. As behind them, 2x2 for Garrett Maines on the outside of Jimmy Mullis, Vicente Salas and Malik Ray. Mullis and Ray, very fortunate to line up on the inside for this restart. Should benefit them very nicely here. If Maines just feathers the throttle, he might be able to tuck down in line, but he just missed the opportunity. And Ray's managed to get the overlap to his left rear now.
A little bit of nose-to-tail contact back in the field a little bit too, but the front guys have done a pretty good job. And Garrett Maines doing a very, very good job of holding that outside line. I mean, we know that the outside line is nowhere near as quick. Tucks back in, good job.
Boland.
What's the lead?
Graham Boland was way up high and dry entering turn 1, and Max Cookson just breezed on by. Now, Cookson got into the back of him. And around, saves it, but we'll get the caution out. Now, I want to replay a couple things here, Jay, Mr. Director, if you can for me. First of all, Cookson on Boland, because there was contact involved. And also that, because I was looking at my replay when that happened, so I didn't see it. Oh, Cookson's been... Oh, I see what's happened, Jay. So I was still in replay mode there, and what I've just said is what I saw in replay, which is why Cookson and Boland came together again. There's so much confusion up here. Yeah, so that was when Cookson got by. Cookson gave him a hit on the entry to turn 3. That's why Boland was slow off the corner. And then Boland got back into the rear end of him, which I just saw in replay mode. And you might have heard me exclaim before I quickly realised, oh wait, that's replay mode. So that's what's happened there. Short track tempers, Flair and Justin, welcome to the booth.
Thank you very much, Ryan. It's been it's exciting to be with you once again for what should be some fun racing.
Most certainly is, and we have had so far, Justin, this is our 3rd caution of the event on that 58 of 200. We had a decent green flag run of about 35 laps between the 2nd and 3rd caution. And that one being brought out by the contact between your two race leaders. So under caution once more. And who's pitted under this? Looks like Jimmy Mullis has stayed out, as has quite a lot of drivers into pit lane for Graham Boland.
Yeah, Boland actually had a bit of damage from that incident there on his front, so probably came in just to get that checked and see if he could get some damage fixed. Which dropped all the way back to 21st after that pace he had led, 56
All the race, yeah.
of our 9 laps so far. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to jump out, concentrate a little bit more on the other things, and good luck to the rest of you two broadcast, because this is going to shape up to be an exciting second quarter and remainder of this race.
Certainly shall. As we look forward then on lap 60 towards the rest of this event. So in terms of fuel strategy, Justin, here, 140 laps to go. They're not quite in the fuel window yet, are they?
No, they are not. I was talking with some of the drivers for the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series in preparation for my first time in color commentary for that broadcast. And drivers such as Mullis and many of the other drivers said the max about 115 to 120. So keep that in mind for tonight, meaning you basically are still in a one-stop for fuel scenario. That doesn't mean you don't come down for tires, though, based on if you get a caution type of situation after a few restarts or so.
And you did a fantastic job on that Coke Series broadcast. Just get that out of the way. It was very good to see you up there. And now I was very happy to see that for my own reasons too. My own selfish reasons, Justin. It means I can feed off your info for this broadcast. There was a lot of cautions, wasn't there, in that? And there's a lot of Coke drivers who have turned up tonight, which I was slightly surprised by, Justin. Are you surprised to see as many Coke drivers as we have today after that event?
I'm not surprised, because some of the drivers, especially guys like Mullis, like Ray, I think knew at the very least that they had fast race cars. Mullis put in just under 2,000 laps of preparation for that event alone. He's got a good car. There's a reason he's up at the front. Ray, he said on social media prior to that race, it was the most confident he felt in a car since Daytona. There's a good reason he's in third as well for this restart.
Green flag back in the air once more, and Jimmy Mullis gets us back underway. Jeremy Allen, for I think the dozenth time today it seems, jumps down to the inside from second place, and Malik Ray now finds himself in third for the first time. Cookson and Yarborough are going to try to work together, it seemed like down the back straight away to get by Garrett Maines, who will slot in line, or at least try to, right in front of Yarborough. Salas, sorry.
And right now, this is one of the things drivers said to potentially expect for these types of scenarios and these types of short runs. It can be hard to pass, since the bottom line is the preferred line. You can defend on the middle line for about a lap and a half or 2 laps, but the more you stay up there, the more you burn up your equipment, and drivers like Jocelyn are going to be in trouble if they stay up at the top side.
Look in the background of your shot. There it is. Michael Guest. He tried to make the big move for the inside. Back there was a bit of contact, and he finds his way by, right behind Graham Boland and Mason Stiver. A lot of very close racing going on here. Boland trying to find his way back through the pack after that earlier incident. Guest still trying to find his way up there from 35th on the grid, and Brad Wright back there as well, who dropped a long way back after being well inside the top 10 earlier on. He's now back in 18th.
Yeah, and these types of races bring these types of different strategies coming in depending on the different runs. But I think you have to keep an eye absolutely on that driver you see in that black and white machine. Moving his way to the field quickly but cleanly. That's got to be the goal for these drivers if you're deep in the field, like Guest. Whether you're like Bowen, like many of these drivers. If you push too aggressively or panic, that's where you make mistakes, and we've seen some of those pop up for the pros at Richmond on Tuesday.
He did, and there's a move third place. Max Cookson gets by Malik Ray, but Ray going to come back at him here through 3 and into 4. That car glued to that yellow line very nicely, and they'll run wheel to wheel down into turn number 1. going to be holding each other up the more they run side by side here and using up their tyres as well as they work hard to try and maintain the overlap. Very close off the exit of 2. Still with the nose up there for Cookson. Now Ray takes it back and gets a hit from Cookson.
Cookson looks like he's actually going to try and line up another shot maybe here, trying to give the squeeze this time. But all this is doing is putting a lot of heat into his tires. Right now, I think this is going to also potentially, depending on how this sets up, allow Garrett Main's position. There's a shot!
And Ray, a big slide through the corner, holds onto it. These two are not happy with each other. There's more contact. Things are going to boil over in a moment here if they continue where they are. Ray and Max Cookson going toe-to-toe, and Cookson does the Alt F4, it looks like.
Yeah,
so Cookson's out.
Yeah, he definitely let the frustration boil, and the second part of that, I think, was more so him just snapping off the corner, trying to avoid the safer barrier, but just, I think, it over-boiled up, and now Ray's got a hurt race car. Cookson with a good run had some bad damage, and everybody else is now going to be potentially stacked on behind once Ray's got to hold off. Garrett Main's now in a similar car.
Now that front right damage to Ray's car that we see, it's similar to what we've seen on Casey Kerwin's machine. Kerwin's fought his way back up inside the top 10 after being up in the fence on lap number 1. So it might not be too disastrous for Ray, but he is going to want to get it repaired a little bit at least down on pit road the next time he comes down the lane. And that was interesting little battle. It was all very nice side by side, and then they just got frustrated with each other, it seemed, and started making a lot of unnecessary contact. And that's the beauty of short track racing. Something about it, drivers just get very hot under the collar very quickly, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing again, if you let those emotions come into play, you're likely going to have that factor your racing and your ability to stay on the racetrack. Let's put it that way, whether it's the current race or in the near future. You don't want to damage a race car either by getting into scraps and bumping and running one another in. Really getting physical with one another because the emotions come in. So you have to stay calm if you're a driver, even when you're in these types of situations at a short track such as Richmond.
Good news is we stayed green, and now look at that. Michael Guest on the right-hand side of your shot goes by Adam de Blasio, takes it away on the bottom side of the racetrack and puts himself up into 11th place now. So his charge continues up 24 spots in the race. Look behind, that's Graham Boland, also carrying damage to the front right, but it's not hampering him too much as he's looking fast. He's back up into 13th place now.
Yeah, and Boland showed in a couple different races, whether it's been in fixed events or open events with his NASCAR Cup iRacing Series setup. He is not afraid to set it hard on the bottom side, try and force a mistake for the car in front, and then take away the yellow line. Mind you, there's two different ways you can enter the corner. Keep an eye on Guest and the rest of these drivers, for example. You can either arc it in softly, or you can try and take a flat entry to the yellow line to try and maintain apex speed. Bowen's trying to go for the flat entry to try and carry high amounts of speed into the apex.
Here's the issue when he tried to make the move that time into turn 3 as de Blasio was trying to make a move on Justin Reed at the same time. And 3 wide at Richmond is not exactly encouraged, I would say. It could end disastrously very quickly, despite it being a pretty big racetrack. The preferred lane is pretty small, so everyone tries to crowd that bottom as finally he gets the move and the momentum he needs to get to the left-hand side of de Blasio, and 3 wide and 2, the inside also powerful. Another spot gain for him, and Brad Wright can look to follow him through.
There's that speed from Bowen popping up once again. And this is one of the main things with this track. Again, it's such a rhythm circuit where if you lose any portion of the track to lose that rhythm, you're likely falling back or burning up your equipment and tires. Because you have to focus on how hard you enter the corner, how fast you're going into that said section, throttle control, and the apex, being able to carry the speed off the corner. If you mess up any of that, you're dropping back. If you nail it, you're pushing, you're going up the running order like Kerwin just did.
Yeah, Garrett Maines just let him go there. Didn't fight that one very hard, if at all. Kerwin up into 4th. He was 8th last time I looked at the timing screen, so moving forward very nicely now. And Mames, again, just hovering around the top 5, as he so often does. Next up for Kerwin is Malik Ray. I know there's a bit of a gap up to Jeremy Allen, about 1.9 seconds from 2nd to 3rd, and it was 1.7 from Mullis to Allen out front. As further back, Brad Wright goes on to buy the 15 of Justin Reed, and still right behind Graham Boland. These two now running.
Yes, indeed, but here comes Kerwin, and these drivers had a bit of trouble spot at one point in the pro race. Looks like Ray knows he's got that damage factoring him a little bit, and knows that Kerwin's got good long run pace at this point. May as well not fight too hard. Just race your own race and think the big picture in terms of strategy, because they're already 4 seconds off the lead.
Yeah, they are. And short track, we talked about this earlier, Justin, before you joined us. Laps cars are going to be a big talking point if we do get a long green flag run. Currently, the last 3 cars on the lead lap are entering turn 3, while your race leader comes through back into turn 3 now. So it's not a big gap at all that they have. And if they stay very close together like those 3 cars are, going to be tough for Jimmy Mullis to get by them initially.
Absolutely. It's going to be an absolute factor. It really depends, too, on where the drivers choose to go. If you let them go, if you're a lap car, I should say, and you let the leaders go on the bottom side, that's no problem if you're a leader. If the leader is forced to take the middle line, that's where you panic, and that's where the frustration can settle in. So it's where you get to the lap car and how they let you go that are the 2 main factors at this point. But Guest, he's coming in quickly. He, in terms of the past 10 laps on average, is nearly matching the pace of Jimmy Mullis.
He is. He's very quick. His last lap was a 22 flat. And this time, as he comes across the stripe, it's a 21.9, so he goes even faster. Jimmy Mullis attempted slower than him last time, so Guest, very quick. But he has not got the track position, and that is so crucial on the short tracks. He's working hard this stint to get it, though. So the next time they come down to pits, he hopefully restarts further up in the order if there's a caution. Or he can manufacture some pit strategy to find himself some clean air, because right now he's tucked up behind Josh Berry, Vicente Salas, Mames and Ray just in front of them. It's going to get harder and harder for the moves to happen here for Guest.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, Josh Berry, one of the more dominant drivers you're ever going to meet in the iRacing service. Remember, member of Junior Motorsports for the late model program. Someone that came away with a big-time victory in the 2nd ever replacement series event. Sponsored now by Leaf Filter. That's a driver you do not want to end up tangling too much with, because he is such a fast driver in terms of raw pace alone, and is so experienced in terms of sim racing when you think of his background.
Certainly is. And we'll see how he goes in the rest of this race too. Currently running now behind Guest, because a Guest gets by him. A very good, clean, textbook move from the pro, as Graham Boland looks to find his way inside of the top 10, still being stalked by Brad Wright behind him. And these guys running behind Brody Kostecki, the once NASCAR hopeful, now turned supercar hopeful, from the US back to his home here in Australia. And very talented in the real world, very talented in the sim. He's been the driver, building the setups and helping every single one of the field for the Supercars E-Series here in Australia. So he's done a lot of work in iRacing over the last few weeks and months. And good to see him running around back here on the ovals. As Brad Wright might make a move now on Boland, and he does. And Boland doesn't fight it. That's where you really see the experience, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah. Absolutely, and that's where it's very vital at a track like Richmond. The drivers with the most amount of experience at a circuit like this normally rise up to the top of the pylon. Guys like Dustin Johnson, they're showing some good speed. But to get back to the point of Kostecki and you mentioned the NASCAR hopeful side, keep in mind, he's one of the top drivers in the Road to Pro standings, too, coming into tonight. 6th in the standings. If you're in the top 20, you make the qualifier series in the wintertime. So this has been one of his strongest runs in Road to Pro in years for him to try and make the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series as well. He is such a strong driver when he does pop up on the ovals.
Yeah, well, I'd been so focused, I guess, on, and most of us in Australia, on his, supercar exploits with the E-Series, a lot of publicity around him at the moment because of that. I'd completely missed that he was in the Road to Pro contention. That's fantastic to see, and hey, if he can't do it in the real world for whatever reason, it'd be good to see if he gets it done in virtual here. And I will now be keeping a much closer eye on his NASCAR exploits here in iRacing, and another example of iRacing providing a platform for drivers that just cannot, for whatever reason, and it's often sponsorship and money, isn't it? Get it done in real life, and give them a shot in the virtual world. A replay on screen. This is a move for second place. This is Kerwin making up another spot.
And I think Alan knew that Kerwin is one of the quickest cars on the racetrack at this point. Alan might have been set up more for the short to mid run. More so, Kerwin might have been set up for these long runs just like this, because in preparation for that race, a lot of drivers were expecting there to be a long run like this in NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series event. It's just, it didn't really pop up. It became more of a track position game. Drivers such as Molis and Novak said they felt like they could pass easier on the long run after 30 laps. And we're seeing those drivers who felt that confidence on the long run start to rise up in the pylon, while others are dropping back with the short to mid-run pace, just not matching their long run speed.
Well, we talked about it earlier, Justin, me and Jay, about the Coke drivers, how their cars would be set up, having done a race that had 14 or so cautions. Do they set it up for the short run, expecting more of the same? Or do they set it up for the long run, expecting lessons to be learned and much better standards in this one?
Indeed, this is one of the cleanest races of the week, I'd have to say, so far for some of these drivers. It's been very clean. It's been very strong. And now everyone's just giving each other space, knowing this is for fun for a lot of the drivers, remember. For others, it's important to develop their talent here in this type of event, Ryan.
Yeah. And these drivers are looking for some redemption, some of them looking for fun, some looking to build some knowledge for their teams and teammates as well. Everyone's here for different reasons, and they're all coming together to provide a very good race so far. Josh Berry is back on the front foot, all over the back of the Cite Salis for underground racing. You can see Garrett Maines just off in front of these guys as well. And this is the point in the run where the guys nice on their tyres and have been looking after them are going to start to benefit. The guys who've been driving the car a little bit too hard, they're going to start to fall back. So we're going to start to see a switch over here in terms of car pace for a number of drivers out there.
Absolutely, and one thing to note too, when you see some of the underground racing logos, of course there's the development side of things, which is the underground side, and then there's the Bobby Dale Earnhardt Legacy Esports side, which are the drivers and spotters and crew members of the Road to Pro effort for that organization. So keep that in mind for a lot of these drivers that you see on the racetrack.
So Salis aligned with a very big and good organisation here. But will it help him now in this battle with Berry? Two very big cautions out. So we're going to be back under the yellow. And all that talking point about the tyre wear becomes mute, because Adam Jocelyn looks like he's got around a 10 of love in another incident.
And it was actually with the right about a pack or so from the race later, and Micah Watkins ended up giving a back-end shot to the rear end of the iRacer lounge machine, showed the nose, and too much speed, and off and away goes Jocelyn.
How did Love end up getting involved in this then?
That's how.
Ooh.
Well, that's a way to
Ooh,
get
Kerwin
involved.
was very lucky there. Kerwin had to avoid that and just try to check up and avoid it, and I think Cookson and Love just came together. It looked like Cookson, or it might have been Zach Hudson. This is the onboard with Kerwin, and didn't panic. Very good. He just slight adjust on the wheel. Very easy too to panic in those situations, isn't it, Justin? Some people underestimate that. What is Malik Ray doing? Ah, Tanner Love. Bit of confusion entering pit lane there, Justin. Tanner Love, the lapped car, going very slow on the racetrack. And Malik Ray had to almost come to a standstill and checked up the entire field because he couldn't pass him before he came into pit road.
Yeah, you get a black flag if you pass him, so if he would have dropped took that, he would have gone to the back end of the field, but Garrett Maines now with a crushed nose because of that. Salas with a crushed nose, couple others as well got damaged. Not going to be some happy campers unless you're the lucky dog who's coming around the circuit.
Tanner Love finding a fair bit of drama over the last couple of weeks, hasn't he? That's the second incident of the race, and maybe could have come down to pit road or towed back to pits in that scenario, but the damage doesn't look crucial for anyone. It looks like just a little bump on most of those cars, and on a short track it shouldn't make much of a noticeable difference. Trying to have a look and see if it's shaking up the order anyway. Still going to be Jimmy Mullis out front.
Yeah, this is absolutely allowed, though, many competitors, Ryan, to get back in the conversation. We've seen Casey Kerwin with that good long run pace. He's now back into contention for the victory. Guest, he had a blistering quick pit stop, about a second faster than anyone else in the lane, and with the help of what happened behind, move him up to second position. So, bad luck for some, it's good luck for others. Ray, either way, still had to go to the back end of the field, it appears, in 26th.
Ray, that's not the first time he's had to do that, has he? He had the same issue in Bristol, where he had to go right to the back of the field. I believe that was for a spin that time by. But he hasn't made it easy for himself. He's had a lot of pace the last couple of weeks, but for one issue or another, he's had to come through the field. He's only going to have 90-odd laps to do it here, which goes by very quickly at this racetrack.
It can go by very fast in the blink of an eye. You can make it on fuel for here. That's the bright side. The downside is it's going to be difficult to get through all these drivers, even in the span of 90 laps. So it might take some strategy for Ray to regain position on the circuit. Especially get back up to his fellow NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series competitors up towards the front of the field.
Lights out on the pace car. Wave around there for the car in front. And the drivers will form up 2 by 2 in a perfect formation to get themselves back under green flag conditions. Can we go to the end on this run? I think the closer we get to the checkered flag, the more aggression we start to see, the less and less likely it is of a green flag finish. Without the interruption of a caution, I should say. Of course, 3 green-white-checkered attempts to help them finish under green flag, which is one of the best additions iRacing's had in the last few years, I think. So we'll see if we need it. 90 laps to go. Pace cars out of the way. Jimmy Mullis gets us back to the green flag.
Perfect launch this time for Mullis to be able to get some space already into turn 1. And keep an eye on how quickly these drivers get to the bottom line. It's so important already near contact report because that one nearly cut off Maines.
And Maines still has the overlap on this inside behind Berry and Salas going at it as well. Door to door, very close quarters in the battle for 4th place. And very good job from Jeremy Allen. He held off Maines. Contact. Around goes Salas. And around goes Berry. And somehow they all avoid both cars.
Something awkward must have just happened there as both cars just seemed to bump one another in the middle of the apex. Berry and Salas. They are both lucky they didn't get hit with the spin right in the middle of the pack. Take a look at the corner apex. It's been important for drivers to squeeze to try and hold up the other drivers off the corner to try and defend. They just come together And both drivers able to avoid significant damage. Barry avoided any damage.
Yeah, unfortunately, Salas got up into the right-hand side, got up into the fence, like pretty flush square contact, but might have tweaked something in the car. The onboard from Kostecki, you see the car up on the fence, you see the car spinning. Oh, Kostecki! Fantastic heads up to avoid that. He was incredibly close. The slightest bit of contact, but the car looks clean.
Might have just barely been on the right front of the nose. If you look at Barry's car, it has a very, very tiny bit of grazing on it on the left front fender, or right front fender rather. He is obviously now down to the pit lane because of that situation. You do not want to stay on the racetrack with already heated up tires because you are going to be sliding around the circuit.
Certainly, and as you mentioned, once you heat the tyres up, they go in a bit of a cycle, and you don't want to stay out on them. Adam Jocelyn gets your lucky dog, so they're going to have 30 cars on the lead lap. Tanner Love, the first car, 3 laps down, and Jake Hickson, 6 adrift, 32 cars still left running in this race. So only 2 cars a lap down.
Yeah, still plenty of time for them to get back into lead lap contention here. But this is lucky, the caution timing, I think, for guys like Ray, because he had to come down, mind you, and serve a penalty at one point. He's still in a position where he might need the lucky dog, I believe, though, to be able to get back in the lead lap cycle. So, if you're Ray, just keep it clean, and I think the Mullis might pass the pace car. That's why he's stopping here.
I was worried for a second because we saw him earlier in the season actually get out of the car. It might have been Daytona, actually. He pulled into pit lane and just got out of the car. But I believe a one-off occurrence for him. Issues arising in real life, probably. But yeah, he passed the pace car there. And let's get back around him. Still got a couple laps under caution here. Well inside the fuel window now for these drivers if they were to pit. Under another caution, they'd be able to make it home to the end. Don't expect to see any more green flag stops here, Justin.
I honestly, if we get a run of 10-15 laps, I see some coming in. The reason I say it is I can see some drivers gambling track position and some trying to stay out to try and gain it and hope for some quick yellows. Remember, that's what drivers such as Jarl Tian did. And that got him a 6th place finish and nearly got him the victory in that race. Here's the problem though. If you stay out on tires that are 10-15 laps old in terms of green flag laps on them, you'll be fast for 5 to 10 laps, even out in 10 to 15, fall off a cliff. Lap 20 on, many drivers fell off a cliff when they tried to stay out for track position. So I don't think we're done yet for tires.
No, we're not. Definitely not at a caution. Under green flag, probably, but yellow flag, I think, yeah. Caution comes out, you're going to see him down at pit road. Now, I've just received a message from our director, Jay, reminding me of something very fun. Next week is Talladega, Justin. I am pumped for that. Completely different race to what we're seeing today. No Cup Series race that week, so I think we might get quite a few of those drivers in as well. Can't wait for that, but let's keep our eyes on the short track now, because this might be your last opportunity for a couple weeks to get a win, because as we know when we go racing at Dega, a lot of it comes down to luck.
Oh, spin in the back of the field. Jocelyn got spun around. Still green, though, in the middle of the racetrack.
Curious. We stay green by some ungodly force. Jocelyn will be disappointed by that. As, got to be careful here, there might be more contact. Slides up the racetrack. Thomas Hazard, very lucky not to get collected by the car behind.
Already everyone trying to cycle to the bottom side. Look up in front, though. Guest has been cycled off towards the top part. I mean, Yarborough and caution's out.
Oh, 2 cars up on the fence. I think a few more got into the back of them there as well. Just before the start-finish stripe. That is Zach Hudson with no front bumper. Big damage to his Toyota Camry. Take a look at your modem simulation replay. What's the incident that occurred here? this is on a board, or this is looking at Hudson's point of view of this. We'll see the driver that initialized it, or the one that got involved very late on. The spin's already happened. He goes to the top to avoid it, and nowhere he can go. 5 cars just get into each other there, very awkwardly, behind the crash.
Yeah, Mason Stiver got spun around to bring up the caution flag, and everyone just stacked up and behind him. Got a clip from Adam de Blasio, I believe it is, and ended up just spinning around a full 360. Barry avoided it, but guys like Bolin and the rest of some of the contenders just stacked up like an accordion.
And really got to have your wits about you, and sometimes incidents like that are unavoidable on an oval. Sometimes. So, back under caution again. Don't expect anyone to pit road or it doesn't have damage for tyres. Only a lap or so on them. Before that caution came out, Brad Wright moved Yarborough out of the way through 3 and 4. And we just saw it, I believe, Justin. Yarborough trying to lunge back at him before the caution came out. Be interesting to see how that resumes when we go back to green flag racing. Fortunate for Wright is that Yarborough might have a bit of time to cool down now under this caution period.
Yeah, it's a chance for you to keep your composure now at this point if you're some of these competitors. If you're Tanner Love, you're screaming, hooray! I'm only 2 laps down now. Only 2 more caution flags is the thought, but if you're Graham Bowen, you're saying, oh shoot, I've got no front clip. I might be done. I think he's actually jumped out of the car.
He might have indeed. Graham Bowen, big shame because he was your race leader for the first 56 laps. And then the contact with Cookson that brought out the caution. He brought it down to pits, sulked himself to the rear to get damage repaired, and unfortunately, proving the point of track position being key, back in the pack, gets caught up in a further incident.
Absolutely, and that's why so many drivers at the same time knew the risk of pushing too hard on the short run. For Tuesday, had the same thought process of, if it happens, if I get a caution flag after lane drivers go knowing the mid to long run, I might not get those positions back because a caution might come out and you all of a sudden are 5 positions down. Bobby Zelensky specifically was the one who brought up that concept. So it's kind of playing the balances of the positives and negatives of when you push and when you can save.
So can we talk about Talladega here next week, Justin? These drivers will be very much aware of what's coming up next week. Obviously, you have a lot of relationships with drivers in the Coke Series. What do you think? Are we going to see a bunch of them turning up? Because Coke Series aren't running there, but it's also a very fun race. So
yes. I think straight up yes, because the super speedways, a lot of drivers are so quick, and a lot of them like to have fun. Some of them actually run Carb Cup races for fun at times, together as groups, as teammates. Wouldn't be surprised if we see whole contingencies of organizations together, of 8+ or more in the race alone, and multiple groups of those contingencies working together.
Can we make a push to have everyone turn up, have a massive strength of field on a super speedway? Because I think if we get that, we might get 200 laps, man? Is it 100 laps? 150 laps? Something?
I believe it's 88.
88 laps. Oh yeah, of course. 2.5 mile racetrack, isn't it? 88 laps green. Now that's something I want to see. If we get a massive strength of field, it might happen. So if you're watching, you want to be a part of it, go practice. Get that set up ready. It's going to be great. Pace cars out of the way. Green flag back in the air. Jimmy Mullis, no dramas out front. He jumps out into your race lead.
Check the total, 94 for Talladega, but already these drivers are fighting for track position like it's a super speedway, knowing how important it is on the short run. Again, just everybody just trying to find the first holes at the bottom. Friends be darned.
Jeremy Allen had an opportunity to cut down in front of Mains, and he takes it. As further back, you saw there, Brad Wright just got down in front, as that looks like Hazard has got a lot of people all over the back of him. Malik Ray clipped the fence in the background of that shot. Did you see that, Justin?
Yeah, I believe he actually did, absolutely. And it's so easy to actually accidentally just clip that wall. Some of the drivers had just little nicks on the right front fenders at the end of the Coca-Cola race, as well as some of those same drivers who were in the ERL, the Esports Racing League, on Podium Esports as well. Lots of craziness, though. Lots of aggressive blocking to the yellow lines.
That's Mason Stiver on the inside, on the outside, sorry, of Adam de Blasio, who goes by him. And big train up in front. Everyone trying to get to the inside. At the very front of it is Josh Berry going by Thomas McGregor. And he should complete this, and he does, into turn 1. And McGregor, luckily, has an opportunity to cut down and get himself back in lane. Further back, Malik Ray will go by Michael Watkins, who's now going to have to watch out for de Blasio, who throws it to the inside, and Lavia loses a spot.
Lots of dicey moves, to say the very least, in the mid-pack. They're going to have to deal with traffic, though. They have Johnny Baldridge without a front clip in one of the Lockhart machines, who might be used as a pick here. In fact, Ray might try and move out of the way in some of the groupings, all while the leaders have single-filed out.
Yeah, and Ray is unfortunate here. Going to take them 3 wide. Goes to the very bottom of the racetrack. And up top, the 22. Nothing he could do about that. He lost that spot very easily indeed. 3 wide behind them, all for position. De Blasio in the middle. Stiver down low. And up top is Lavia. Still 3 abreast. Now they sort themselves out. Lavia goes to the back of them. And Stiver still trying to get by. De Blasio is going to get caught out with that last car up top.
And Baldridge originally stayed on the apron, but now he's in a spot where, and this is why I think Ray took it 3 wide, where it's caused absolute chaos. Bunches everyone up, gives them some breathing room from behind, and now everybody is having to fight hard just to be able to get by the 33 machine. So that was a calculated decision, let's put it that way, to use the lap car as kind of a buffer.
Good battle going on here for 9th place. Dustin Johnson ahead of Josh Berry. Thomas Hazard just behind them. Berry shows the nose, and no fight thrown for Johnson. Berry moves up now behind Brody Kostecki, who's still running around in 8th place. Brad Wright and Austin Yarbrough just in front of those guys are back together on the racetrack. We'll see whether they've sorted out their bumping issues that they had before the caution came out earlier on.
Yeah, indeed, and there goes Baldridge coming off the racetrack. Sometimes, if you're just that far off the pace, you need to get off the track for your and others' safety. That, in turn, has made things fun for groups such as this. I think there's a shot, though. The 22 got pushed up the track by Stiver.
And Stiver now on the inside of the 35. Through 1 and 2, they almost touch. Heading through that time, Watkins almost up into the fence. Had to make himself a little bit of a nuisance to Stiver. And now...
Yep, absolutely now. And now Watkins is in a spot where I think he knows that he's not as quick as some of the cars, has the short to mid-run speed.
de Blasio takes that away now. And it does show, once you get up on the top side of the racetrack, it's very easy to lose a lot of spots very quickly and get freight trained by a bunch of guys. And Watkins is going to lose another spot. Jetty Willis will go by him as well. So very unfortunate for him as we go back up here to Yarbrough and Berry. Wright has got by Yarbrough, and they'll get by the laps car up top of, who's that up there?
Pistol. That's Wesley Pistol that has to get out of the way in 26th. And doing the smart thing. Stay on the top side. Stay as much out of the way as you can from the battles. Know that you've got a hurt race car. Don't hold up the leaders.
Certainly a good heads-up driving from the lapped driver as Berry gets close to the back of Yarbrough. Wasn't able to find a way by him. Doesn't really want to use the bumper, because as soon as you put the bumper on someone, Justin, you're saying, okay, that's now acceptable. Once I get by you, you can do the same thing to me. And it can very quickly get out of hand and end up with you in the fence.
Absolutely. So this is again where you have to think about big picture here. Do you want to maintain to the drivers behind, or do you want to start pushing to keep up with somebody? If you feel like you're faster, then push. That's what Barry's doing. I think he knows he's quicker, and I think Yarbrough going to give him the space this time.
Good decision from Yarbrough. If you know you haven't got the pace and you see the car behind getting that close to your rear bumper, especially when there's still over 50 laps to go, I mean, you're better off just to let them go. As far as you're concerned, you might be doing a lot better on your tyre wear compared to Barry in this case. When we get closer to the end, Barry might drop off, so you've really got to pick your fights, and I think Yarbrough's done a great job there. As, getting close to 50 laps to go, getting close to the business end of the race now. Up front, Jimmy Mullis has a margin of a leading margin of just over a second. Back to Michael Guest, Casey Kerwin, Jeremy Allen, the top four, all part of the Coca-Cola iRacing series.
Barry, I think, is going to be a threat here towards the end of this race. The way his pace is looking right now, only about a tenth to half a tenth off to the leaders.
And it picks up another spot of Brad Wright, another spot that he didn't have to fight too hard for. Wright just sidestepped him and let him go. Next up on the hit list for him is Garrett Maines. Look out for Brody Kostecki as well, just quietly plugging away at the back end of the top 10 all race long. He's clawed his way up to the back of this battle now. Got to be careful of that slow car. Just missed the apex. Did Yarbrough there. And when you do miss the apex, you've got to check the car up a lot more than normal. And it's very easy for the car behind to accidentally just tag your left rear.
Indeed here, and it looks like almost like Yarbrough at first thought about trying to let by Kostecki, thought he got a run, but now he's going to be forced here by Kostecki right up the track.
And Brad Wright checked up Yarbrough. Yarbrough had to shoot up the track, and that allowed the opportunity for Kostecki. They both broke a bit sideways coming out of turn 4, but Kostecki will put himself up into P8 then. Yarbrough will have to look in his rearview mirror for Dustin Johnson. Final car inside the top 10, just in and behind him now. Top 10 covered by just 4.5 seconds in this one.
Yeah, this is much more tighter, and keep in mind, clouds above the track, they're not even affecting the track temp yet because of the nature of a short track. It's similar to what we see at Bristol. The track temperature gets hotter the more rubber you build up around it. It's 109 degrees Fahrenheit. If we get a caution, though, with the cloud cover like this, it's going to really increase the amount of grip for the ensuing restart, where we're in the situation where you would have to come down if you do get a yellow.
I think you're right about that, as Brad Wright going to lose out to Kostecki. Kostecki, has he been looking after his tyres? Because he's picked up a couple spots there in quick succession. See if you can follow Josh Berry through. Berry's all over the back of Jeremy Allen now as well. He's got a lot of pace here, Justin.
Yeah, Barry all of a sudden has found another gear almost. Like, he's not as quick as the leader, Jimmy Mullis. But, again, he's just so consistent in terms of his pace. He is nearly identically hit a 22.3 just about every single time. When he gets to clean air, that's where he kicks it back to the 2s. The pace is actually picking up a little bit once again. Getting a little bit faster the track is.
Dustin Johnson gets to the left side of Wright, and Wright struggling the longer the run goes on. We saw this earlier in the race. That car looks like it's set up for the short run, and as we tick towards a 40 or so lap run, he's starting to fall afoul of it as Malik Ray will put himself back inside the top 10. Don't forget about him if we get a late caution.
Yeah, and Ray, remember, who had the track position, had the fast car. Then, fortunately, Tanner Love, and he ended up having bad luck with him in the pit lane entry. It's taken this long just to get him back up to the top 10 and have spanned about 50 laps of recovery so far.
And he's probably someone that's going to get quicker and quicker though as the run goes on, as he keeps those tyres fresh underneath him. Dustin Johnson will let him go. Sidesteps him there. Ray didn't even have to show the nose. Johnson rolls over for him, picks his fight. As Berry's starting to really chase down Casey Kerwin. As he crosses the line this time, Kerwin's on a 22.27 and Berry a 1.6. He's a tenth of a second quicker than him.
And remember, there was that caution flag, and some of these drivers, just taking a look at the stint differential, guys like Berry came in from the back of the field. Mason Stiver amongst those grouping. Guys like Ray. That is about, guess what, 15 laps differential between the tires. We're seeing, even though that's only about maybe 5-10 laps of green flag laps, that just small amount of difference is enough for guys like Berry to reel himself back into the conversation for the top 3.
On the short run, it's not a massive difference. On the long run, it is extremely noticeable, isn't it? Because as those tyres really start to wear, yours are still at least somewhat fresher, and not quite at the point where they're really starting to degrade. So this is definitely a good call for Berry and Ray. The thing they've got to be careful is at some point their tyres are going to hit that cliff too.
Absolutely, but here's the thing. You're still going to have fresher tires than the rest of the field. That's the big key that these drivers are thinking about. So now, just got to keep a good rhythm and hope you don't see that.
Jeremy Allen brings out the caution. And we're going to have a late race restart here. No damage to Tanner Love. Gets into him. Now there's damage to the back of that car. He had escaped any noticeable contact, and then Tanner Love somehow involved in another incident out there. And it was contact with Kostecki that sent him sideways, tagged the fence, but it wasn't that big of a contact, and then this, Justin.
Yeah, it almost looked like Love was committed to the middle line, and what in the world?
He was going rather quickly, wasn't he?
The caution was out for a good 5-6 seconds. Why in the world was Tanner Love pushing that hard up the middle of the racetrack?
Well,
I've got nothing.
He's not had a great race. He's probably not thinking quite clearly. He's probably a bit frustrated at the moment too. The incidents he's been involved in, as that timing screen is dancing at the moment. What is happening there as everyone's in pit lane and it cycles back and forth. The race off pit road won by Jimmy Mullis. In fact, Michael Jeans, has he taken 2 tyres? Or did he not pit?
He's not pit yet. He stayed out because he's got damage, remember.
Ah, yes.
Let's get back to the conversation and what just happened, I think, with Love. It almost looked like Love was in the midst of trying to let drivers go. Caution came out. I don't think he realized Wesley Pistol had backed off 4 or 5 car lengths behind him to give him the bottom, knowing there was the trouble. He might have also thought that Allen was already off the middle of the top line, wasn't realizing Allen was trying to spin it back around to get forward. Just, you need to be more aware of what's going on, unfortunately, in that situation.
Well, caution's out, and it gives us what should be a cracking finish to this race. Jimmy Mullis has not been challenged since he got out to the lead of the race. Can anyone get by him off the short run here? What about Josh Berry from 3rd? What can he do? Michael Guest is fast as well. He's restarting from 2nd place. The leader has had a fantastic jump every restart so far. Don't expect that to change here, but I don't know. How do you stop Jimmy Mullis in this race?
You hold for caution, 10 laps, stay out on the racetrack, don't pit again, and hope that he gets stuck in traffic. It's similar to what Jarl Tien did, Ryan. That might be the winning strategy at this point. The way Mullis is, especially short, mid, and long run, his team was confident Mullis had a chance to win last race for the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Nearly did win the race. If he doesn't get to the back end of Tien on the checkup in that bump and run into turn 3, Endor Luza had not already poked his nose underneath, expecting Moas to go to the middle line, Moas might have been the winner of that race. That's how quick that car is.
Now, I do know there are drivers. Who are the drivers in this field that run for Richmond Raceway Esports? Because they're going to be especially keen.
Yeah. Jimmy Mullis, of course. Ryan is a part of that. Then remember there's the development program that Garrett Maines is a part of, too. Zach Novak not on the entry list tonight for this top split event, for example. Raja Karuf also not a part of this event. So 2 of the 4 big driver names for that organization are in the top 4.
Well, hopefully Richmond are watching, because there's a good chance one of their drivers picking up the win they missed in the Coke Series. NIS, maybe the next best thing. Green flag out once more. Great jump for Jimmy Mullis. You can see Malik Ray in the background, already taking them 3 wide off the restart. Aggression level is going to be as high as they've been all race long now, as Josh Berry has got Casey Kerwin pushing him around the racetrack, and Garrett Maines up top, no way to the inside line.
Yeah, and
Berry,
big time
sideways.
Big time bobble. These drivers have been needing to protect the right rears all week long because of how hot and slick this track is. That mistake just cost Berry 2 positions.
Kerwin and Maines go by him, and Berry now with Austin Yarborough all over the back of him. Contact, Maines goes around on the exit of turn 4. Berry gets turned as well.
And that is unfortunate for Garrett. Looked like he might have been able to get away with that with minimal damage, but wow. Maines just left the bottom open, missed the bottom line throughout 3 and 4. Kerwin might have thought he could have taken the space. Instead, they make the contact in 3 and 4. That brings out the caution flag. Tough break for Maines, which, remember, Richmond Raceway is holding a virtual race week. One of the scheduled appearances, Maines, a part of the broadcast in terms of live streaming for Richmond Raceway this week.
I shouldn't have mentioned anything about him under that caution, should I?
No. Commentator's curse, unfortunately, struck. He had the same type of bad luck, similar to for Dina for the event yesterday for the Rumble at Richmond.
This is jumping up with Jetty Willis. You can see smoke everywhere. That's how you avoid a crash. Get on the brakes and just slowly pick your way through it. No need to rush through the incident. And I think fortunate there weren't more cars involved with it. When you wreck off the exit of a corner, that's where the opportunity is for a massive incident, because it's hard to see the exit of the corner particularly early, and Copinger was a victim to that exact scenario there.
Yeah, Coppinger just... Yeah, that just was unfortunate with nowhere to go for some of these drivers. And now one of the main setup builders in iRacing is one of the drivers who are in the pit lane, and this has opened up the floodgates for strategy now. If you get an error caution flag, I think. A lot of the guys in the back, yes, you pit. A lot of the guys in the front, you have to stay out now at this point.
Certainly do, and Mullis, Guest, Kerwin, Barry are top 4. All out there on the racetrack. Garrett Maines still trundling around, but spewing smoke, and thankfully in iRacing, not oil, all over the racetrack. So his car is not going to be going anywhere at a great rate of knots. He'll have to come into the pits and get that repaired, and might be down there for quite some time.
The reason you're staying on the racetrack if you have a blown motor is, remember, there are many drivers who are multiple laps down. If you can stay out to 2 to go, that's where I think we'll see Maines come down, because you can only stay out for 3 laps. Once the green flag drops, you'll get a black flag in disqualification for not serving a meatball penalty.
Going to be 27 to go when we go back green. Don't expect it to go green, Justin. It would love for it to go green, but I don't think it's going to happen. You know, short track racing, I mean, that's a point in itself, but then, you know, aggression rises. We just saw that with Maines getting turned by, was it Kerwin?
Yes.
And you don't give the inch that you give earlier on in the race when someone makes a mistake. You get yourself to the inside because you can't afford to check up because the guy behind you is not going to check up. You need to take everything you can possibly get. And unfortunately, that does mean, more often than not, someone in the field gets it slightly wrong. When you got 35 drivers or 30-odd drivers left in this one, someone's bound to not quite get it right. And at the level these guys are racing at, the slightest mistake does cause those incidents because they're all so closely bunched. And the cars are on the edge too. They're at the limit of their performance.
Hit it right on the head, Ryan. You hit it right on the head. It's similar to what happened with Molis in the last race with Lusa. Now, back to green flag racing.
Look at the defense from Casey Kerwin. Down into the turn number 1. Yarborough tried to get to his inside, but he got chased all the way down to the yellow line and back again. As down the back straightaway they go. Josh Berry trying to get around the outside of Kerwin. Not going to be able to do it. And Kerwin will hold on to P number 3.
And you talked about a little bit earlier, Kerwin had some good pace on the long run earlier. The question's going to be, what are some of the adjustments that machine in third spot might have done to be able to get pace for the short to middle run? That's going to be vitally important. It's just a matter, though, of having time, especially with battles like this getting physical.
Who's that further back in the pack? That's the 15 of Justin Reed on the inside. Very tightly packed is behind. A big move from Brody Kostecki to follow him through. He got chased down for a moment there by the number 20, and they almost make contact off 2, and Johnson will lose out the spot. He tried to defend it, but the outside, once you get stuck up there, there's not much you can do.
Absolutely. As soon as you get up that line again, as talked about, it's nearly impossible to try and hold on. The bottom line is the line you need to be the whole way around the racetrack throughout the corners. Guess, though, having his best run yet on the short run, whatever he adjusted in the pits, it's working.
It's working well. Malik Ray throws it on by Brown. Right, that was a fantastic move from the Rowdy Energy Camry. He puts himself up into 6. How far can he go? Can he get close enough? 22 laps to go still. Just enough time in this one. The top 4, top 3 are line astern out front. Jimmy Mullis trying to get it down. Trying to get it done on his team's track. Richmond Raceway. Michael Guest in second, looking for redemption. So is Casey Kerwin. All 3 of these guys looking for redemption from the Coke Series. Josh Berry back there in 4th, mixing it with the big guns. And look out for Malik Ray. He's up into 5th, and he is coming.
Yeah, Ray is closing in quickly in the Dead Zone Racing machine. As part of Gibbs Gaming, that machine, like we talked about, he felt confident with. He was inside the top 10 most of the pro race, and now he's flying. It looks like, though, Yarborough, he's had the Flyers wedge him off the bottom, and now he's gonna be wide open for passes underneath.
He squeezed right incredibly tight there, but the caution's going to come out once more. Michael Watkins finds himself facing the wrong way through turn number 3.
It took him a second to get going here on the stalled engine. As you look here at the modem simulation replay, one of those tight battles where you were hoping it stayed green. Jocelyn looked like he tried to line things up well and seen the bottom and send him up.
Now, who pits, who doesn't? Mullis comes in, Guest stays out, Kerwin stays out, Berry pits, Ray's out. They are completely split. And then suddenly, from Stiver on back, they all come in. The top 5 or 6... Sorry, Justin, you can go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that some of these drivers expected more to stay out here. Now it's going to be a majorly interesting race. We're talking 15-20 laps of green flag tire difference for when they go back underway. That is massive.
And Jimmy Mullis, no matter what he did, he he was screwed, to be honest, because as the leader of the race, you're in the wrong spot in those situations, aren't you? Whatever you do, someone's going to do the opposite. And in that case, the top 6 or so was split. Half of them came in, half of them stayed out. Maybe even the top 10. And then there's that point in the fields where everyone decides, I'm just going to pit. And unfortunately, that's a lot more than half the field. So the amount of cars that stayed out were the top 5. Allen, Yarborough, Ray, Kerwin, Guest. That's from 5th to 1st. And then Jimmy Mullis on back, they've all got 4 fresh tyres. Except for Thomas Hazard, who it looks like he might have taken 2.
That's a track position gamble from Hazard to move that many spots and take 2 tires. He's hoping that there's going to be caution precautions and he can sneak away with the top 10, I think. But there's a chance that guys like Guest, Kerwin, and Ray might have a strong chance of stealing this race. But still, I think Mullis, if he gets enough laps, is going to have maybe just enough time if it stays green to make a pass.
If this stays green, and I pray it does, this is going to be a wild, wild finish to this race. Those 5 guys on the old tyres are not going to move over for anything. Malik Ray had a lot of pace before that caution came out. Can he keep it up and get by Kerwin and Guest? Were Guest and Kerwin being held up by Mullis because he was right in front of them, wasn't getting away? And then, of course, what can Mullis, what can Berry, Wright, Kostecki, any of those guys in the top 10, what can they do on those fresh tyres? What can Hazard do with 2 tyres? How much pace does he have? It should be somewhere in between the 4 and the no options, but it can also change the handling of your car, and sometimes it makes your car even worse off these restarts.
Yeah, there was massive tire spin in the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series race for Jarl Thielen. He stayed out on the 30-lap old tires. I expect a little bit of the same here, especially if you get multiple heat cycles on the drivers who stayed out. Buckle up, it's going to get wild.
The NASCAR iRacing Series, open to everyone, but this is top split. These are the guys who've worked so hard to get their iRating as high as it can be, and they're rewarded with this top split. These racers that are incredible to talent on another level. Drivers in professional series, drivers hoping to be in those series one day, all together, all coming back to the green, led by Michael Guest. He holds them, he backs them up. Green flag back in the air at Richmond. A wild restart already. Jimmy Mullis takes him 3 wide in the middle. This could get messy, and it does. Mullis has turned sideways. They're 4 wide. They're all sideways. We're still green. And now one spins to the inside. That was Johnson, but he's on the apron. So still, no caution comes out.
That's why you stack it up. You try and force a mistake, and it's worked exactly how Guest has hoped it for. Problem is, though, Ray still coming, and Mullis still is going to have to try and get in the rhythm as the caution's finally out.
It might have been Justin Johnson getting it back the right way that brought that caution out. No, it was CJ Lavea that brings it out. And that caution, that restart, was crazy. That's what we expected. And Guest knew exactly what he was doing when he backed them up for that restart. You can see this is the incident that brought out the yellow flag, eventually. Lavea just ran out of room to get down to the inside as he went around. He collected Vicente Salas as well. Now that restart with Mullis took them 3 wide in the middle, and they all just tried to crowd down to the bottom of the racetrack. Exactly what happened there. Room ran out quickly. Gotta say, fantastic job from all of them to keep it pointed straight. Johnson was unfortunate not to hold on to his car. He had a tank stopper going on for quite some time. But I'm very happy that didn't turn into a much bigger incident, Justin.
Could have been much more, yes, and good job by some of the drivers to dodge the incident, but man, now it's going to be interesting what happens on this start, because Kerwin had that massive amount of tire spin we talked about that stacked everyone up for that 3 wide. I think we might see it again here, and they've made their bet in strategy. They can't come down. If they do, they lose this race.
They do. Now, if you're the guys behind, you know that Guest is probably going to do that again. The other reason for it is if he accelerates through turn 3 and 4, he's got to turn the wheel at a much more sharper angle than if you restart, say, here on the racetrack. And on those older tyres, that can be all the difference too between spinning it up and not. Now, Malik Ray might try to anticipate the start. If he does, the field is going to be very bunched up. If he doesn't, they're going to be 3 wide as the guys further back try to avoid getting stacked up by the slow-moving outside line. And once again, no one's going to give. They're all going to take, but no one's going to give. And you got to take from somewhere. Someone's going to come off worse for wear. Someone's feelings are going to get hurt here. Mullis will restart from 7th. Can he gain 7 spots in 8 laps when we come back green? Now that's going to be tough.
If they make a major mistake in front, he can. He's going to need to hope for that, and I think we're going to have that. Remember, that allowed him to go 3 wide up the middle of the racetrack to be able to gain some of the track position. Problem is, some drivers might not give as much space. We've seen a bit of a squeeze before on Moas when he tried that from Guest, and that led to that contact. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened again with so many drivers still looking to hold on to track position. Remember, top 3, Ryan, on old tires, Hazard on 2, Allen on old tires as well, however, they're slightly newer.
The first 4 drivers haven't won this season on this time slot, on the broadcast, in the strength of field. So a good chance of it being 9 from 9. But the guys behind, some of them have. We're not going to go back green this lap. I thought we were. I think we might have. It might have been a delayed green even. But we're going to have one more lap under the caution here. Guest, Ray, Kerwin, and Hazard haven't won. Jeremy Allen has won this season. He won an Auto Club in one of the most spectacular races I've ever seen. Full stop. Can he win what might be one of the most spectacular finishes we see? Josh Berry hasn't won. Jimmy Mullis has. He got it done. He hasn't. He hasn't, in fact, Justin. So many talented drivers haven't got it done when they've turned up on a Friday night. Now that shows you the talent in this field. The lights are out on the pace car. We come through 3 and 4. Does Guest pull the same trick as he did last time? 7 laps to go, coming back to the green. He holds them, he holds them. Still they wait. Green flag out. A great jump for Guest. They check up on the outside. Ray has to dive down low. Kerwin having to throw it in deep because Mullis looking behind. Hazard up top. Gonna lose out as the caution comes out once more.
And more massive trouble in the back because just behind the top drivers, JD Willis ended up getting clipped in one of the Nexus Esports machines by one of the Bobby Dillon Legacy Esports cars and just cordoned everybody up in turn 1 and 2. Watkins, though, is the man who goes around fully.
So, back under yellow once more. As a driver, this is so frustrating, isn't it, Justin? You get yourself hyped up and psyched, the adrenaline going. To go back green, you know what you need to do, and suddenly you're back under yellow, and it keeps repeating the cycle. And when we get to 0 to go, it's not over with yet, because 3 green-white-checkered attempts up our sleeves. Luckily, fuel won't be an issue. They've all pitted recently enough that that's not going to be an issue, even with the added laps the green-white-checkered may bring. But this might be a regulation green-white-checkered looking at the laps to go. We might restart with 2 regular green flag laps remaining.
Yeah, and this is why you stay out on the racetrack. If you have those incidents in the back in the late going of this race, it's no guarantee you're going to get the spots back. Moas is still in a good spot to be able to restart on the bottom here from 5th. On the freshest tires, 4 tires in the field. But I still don't know now, because of how many caution laps we've had in the past 20 or so, if there's enough time to get around 4 different drivers.
anything can happen, Justin. A checkup 3 wide will not be out of the question at all. If they check up in front, someone's going to capitalize and take them 3 abreast. It probably isn't going to work out for someone, but they're going to do it. And for Jimmy Mullis, he's going to be desperate to get back and win this. Not only because he was leading and so comfortable, and he made that call to pit, but for his team, for Richmond Raceway Esports. He couldn't get it done in the Coca-Cola Series. He's still got the opportunity now to get it done on a broadcast on the iRacing Esports Network in front of nearly 300 people watching, and many more to see it over the coming days and weeks. As a driver, you always want to perform on your team's home track. Well, you don't get more home track than this for Jimmy Mullis.
Absolutely, because all of the drivers who are part of that organization circled their calendars and were really hyped up for this race week. Keep in mind, they still have a lot of work to do, the Richmond Raceway Esports guys, where they're taking part in pre-race festivities for the Pro Invitational race on Sunday. So these drivers know that they need to perform at this racetrack, as the Green-white-checkered has been confirmed to go into overtime.
Lights out on the pace car. We're going to use 1 lap of extra time here to make a Green-white-checkered happen. The first attempt of a potential 3. Guest and Ray on the front row. Kerwin and Hazard from 3rd and 4th. Mullis and Berry. Who gets it done? Surely it comes from those first 3 rows, more likely the front 2 rows. Keep your eyes on the front, because this is going to be crazy. Pace car dives down out of turn number 4. Green-white-checkered. Green flag in the air. What a start from Malik Gray up top. He goes right with your race leader. Huge checkup behind him. Into 1 and 2. Josh Berry in 4th on the top of the racetrack. Hazard's in 3rd. All by himself. Into 3 and 4. If they get back to the white flag, we'll come back to the checkers here. White flag in the air. 1 more time around at Richmond. And it's Michael Guest who leads it by just a 1/10 and a half over Malik Ray. Can he get there? Look at Mullis pressuring for 3rd. There's contact between himself and Hazard. The final time through the 3rd and 4th corner. Michael Guest. He's going to come out across the start-finish stripe, and he gets it done here in Richmond.
And what a strategy call to get him this checker flag. We talked about if you stayed on the track for this late yellow situation, you likely might hold on. That's exactly what he did. Got the exact scenario he needed to hold on to this victory.
Now to Michael Guest, is victorious in the NASCAR iRacing Series redemption, at least, for the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series event. Behind them, close battle for 3rd. Mullis, the call to pit, it did not work for him. Slight contact with Hazard. It killed his momentum, and he comes across in 4th in the end. We'll go to a quick break here on the iRacing Esports Network on SimSpeed TV. When we come back, stay with us. We'll have the full results and interviews with some of our race finishers.
he hits him again now. Rayon Fowler into the outside wall.
He's going to pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's going to get them all done with. What amazing.
Lee to the inside goes Logan Cloudman is going to touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save.
Look to the outside as Cronkite goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
I tried, there's contact though.
Slide left of the racetrack. Chris Renner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cut back here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Michael Schumacher, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Well, welcome back to the iRacing Esports Network, to the conclusion of the Friday night 9 p.m. Eastern time slot of the NASCAR iRacing Series. What a race, what a finish here at Richmond Raceway. This is how they finished up front. Driving through the field was the order of the day. Michael Guest from 35th to 1st. Malik Ray from 25th to 2nd. He did that drive through the field twice, after going back to the rear halfway through the race with about 90 laps to go. Thomas Hazard from 26th to 3rd. Jimmy Mullis from 23rd to 4th. Josh Berry, Brody Kostecki in there as well. Casey Kerwin driving from 34th to 7th. Brad Wright, Anna Blesio, and Austin Yarborough rounded out your top 10.
Justin Reed comes home quietly in 11th position. Had some good scraps, though, at the back end of the top 10 throughout the day. Jeremy Allen in 12th. J.D. Willis comes home in 13th. Colton Salek comes home in 14th. McGregor in 15th. C.J. Lever in 16th. Alex Huffman in 17th. Stiver in 18th. Pistol in 19th. And Dustin Johnson comes home in 20th, recovering from a spin.
Michael Watkins had an issue of his own. Still picked up a 21st place finish out of Adam Jocelyn, Brennan Coppinger. Vicente Salas was the first car lap down with Michael Jeans, and then Zach Hudson, Jay Kickson, Johnny Borderidge. All these guys started to have some issues in this race. Garrett Maines, Patrick Moose. Then your last 5 cars in this one were Tanner Love, Graham Boland, who led for the first 50-odd laps, started on pole 2. Max Cookson, Will LaRue, and Robert Miller. That is your 35-car field. Doesn't look like anyone's come to have fun with us up here in the comms box today, Justin. If you're watching, make sure you check the live chat for that link for future races, or go and find us on SimSpeed on Discord. But what are your thoughts on the this race, Justin, as we wrap it up, and looking forward to Dega next week in Alabama?
I think this race showed a bit of everything. Strategy, aggression, as well as some good battling throughout the field tonight. Some good long run pace for some of the competitors. Some of the short run pace also showed as the event went on tonight. But Talladega, teamwork is going to be the name of the game if you want to come away with the victory. If you don't work together as a unit on your strategy, good luck, because there's a chance you might get put in the sucker hole 3 wide.
Can't wait for that. If you want to catch it, make sure you turn up at 9 p.m. Eastern when we go live on the iRacing Esports Network next Friday night. If you're watching from Australia, 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard on Saturday. But before that, make sure you like SimSpeed on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube as well. Subscribe and like if you enjoyed the broadcast. And the iRacing Esports Network as well, where you can catch all hours and plenty other broadcasters' races. We've got plenty coming up for SimSpeed in the near future. V8 Scops, the premier Supercar Series on iRacing tomorrow, apart from the Supercars E Series, of course. And then the Monday Night Strength of Field Supercars on Monday night as well, plus plenty more to come. If you're a fan of pro drivers and a laid-back laugh of an event, tune in to Just Send It. I'll give you the hot tip. That is a lot of fun. But from myself, Ryan Jones, from Justin Prince alongside me, and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, thankfully for most of this race, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?